Good morning, everybody. I'm going to talk a little bit about ryegrass control in small grains, particularly wheat, just because wheat has more that are labeled, but in small grains altogether. We ran some tests. We've got some newer products that are labeled. I talked with you a little bit about those last year. But we've got some newer products that are labeled, and we've done some testing on that, and we're continuing to test those. And you'll see some of those in the new IPM guide, which is what I'm getting at right here. There's a lot of resistant ryegrass out there. So, and it's not just resistant to one chemical. Hold-on resistance has been out there for a long time. You also have glyphosate resistance, and that is becoming more and more prevalent. So you need to be aware of that. So we've got some things as far as, control in season that are available that haven't been available in the past. And we also have some standards that are good, like Axiom. Those are some that have been available that are still really good and will work well for you. There is a chance that you will have, you might be seeing some ALS resistance show up. We haven't seen it so far with ryegrass, but that's something to be aware of. And if you do see it, make sure you contact your county agent and let them know, or your regional agent, or let me know. With our test, now I have in the recommendations that for a delayed pre, and I went over this last year, that Zidua is labeled delayed pre, and that's pyroxasulfone. We did some testing where we put it out, delayed pre as well as early post-emergence. We actually got better control early post-emergence with that. We only have 1 year worth of data, and so we're putting it out again to see if we get the same results. But just wanted to recognize that I've got it under delayed pre and early post for that reason, because we did see those results. Again, you've got several options for ryegrass control. Axial is probably going to be the most used, the most widely used for ryegrass control. It does control other grasses as well. You have Anthem Flex, that's another one, and it has AIM plus Zidua in it. We're looking at that this year in some trials as well. You also have, and on those two, they're labeled in wheat. Now, Axial's labeled in wheat and barley, but we're not a big barley state, so that's not going to help a whole lot. Axiom is another ryegrass material, and it's labeled in wheat and triticale, but then again, we don't grow a lot of triticale. So, for example, with Harmony Extra, you could put that on oats and you can put it on wheat, although it has minimal ryegrass control. Very good on broadleaves, but it's got minimal ryegrass control. So, in other words, you're not going to be able to spray this on your rye and on your oats. You're going to have to be looking just at your wheat when you're putting these out. There's some other things like Osprey that are available, Peak. These are some things that you can put out, but they're not very popular in our area. And again, those are ALSs, and so you have to be careful about that as well. So, the main thing is if you can control your ryegrass early. Now, this year is a little bit different because of the drought. So we didn't have really much of anything coming up if you did get to plant. I know in our experience, some of our plots didn't get planted until November, December. Some were middle of December. So it was very, very late, but it was, we had not at all. Yeah. So, that was an issue that we had to deal with. Yet ryegrass still came up. So You could burn it down with gramoxone or with Roundup unless you had Roundup resistant ryegrass, which is an issue because if you finally did get to plant when you got some moisture and you had ryegrass present, then you've already started a battle you're not going to win. So you needed to make sure that you had a clean slate to start with, which is what I always tell people, is to make sure you start clean. But once that ryegrass starts coming up after we get through this cold weather, and it's going to start coming up, around, depending on where you live, but it's going to start coming up when the weather starts to break some, and it's going to come on strong. Well, that's when you need to start getting rid of it. That's when you need to spray it, and you just to spray it when it's small. You also need to watch the timeliness of your wheat. For example, you've got specific dates when you can, specific timings when you can spray your wheat. And I have to put on my glasses to be able to tell you what they are because I can't see anymore. And I can't see without the lights on either. Thank you. For example, the Zidua I said that is an early post-emergence, you can spray it up from tillering up to the 4th tiller stage. I mean, from emergence to the 4th tillering stage. Anthem Flex is from spiking to the 4th tiller stage. Axial, you've got a much, you can apply from the 2-leaf to the pre-boot stage, so you've got a much wider window. Another reason why a lot of people like to use that. So make sure that you see what those are. Now, most of these are going to have planting requirements that, which now is not going to matter, but you needed to plant it at least 1 to 2 inches deep so that it will not hurt the wheat. And it's also going to have requirements on the size of the ryegrass. It'll need to be 4 inches or 2 inches in size. It'll have different requirements depending on what you're spraying. And if you go over that, then it won't guarantee anything. So that's something else to look at. Of course, these products are going to control different things. For example, Anthem Flex is going to control some broadleaf materials, just like Zidua will. As I said, Axial will control, sorry, I don't know how to turn it off. Axial is going to control a wide range of grasses, but it's always, as cheap as something like Harmony is, it's always a good idea to put that in there with it if you do have, henbit and chickweed and those type of broadleaf weeds. That's it.
All right. Well, thank you for that good update. Just to remind everybody that it's important because there are lots of changes that happen from year to year with these IPM guides. And so we spend a lot of time making sure that we have the latest information for you in the latest versions of the guide. So you go to alabamacrops.com and you click on the IPM guide section on there on the left, you'll be able to get the most up-to-date version, whatever version that is. So we have 2017 ready for almost all of our crops now. Ready for you to take a look at. That's alabamacrops.com. Click on the IPM guides and always make sure you're working off the most current version because things do change considerably from year to year.
Yes, they do.
All right.
All right.
Any questions for Joyce?
Quick question.
Okay.
How popular are the Clearfield varieties still in there? Is that technology being utilized at all around the state? Do you know?
No. In fact, I don't think they've ever taken off here. They have in other areas, but